For breaking news, go to iDiskiTimes.co.za.
iDiskiTV, powered by World Sports Betting, iDiskiTimes.co.za. Masry 2, Kaizer Chiefs 1. Umdlalo we-CAF Confederations Cup match day 1. Kaizer Chiefs opening their Group D with a loss. There's also another game later on. Zamalek 2 times winners of CAF Confederations Cup. But again, Zesco ikumbula 2019, where they beat the Kaizer Chiefs 2-1. Here they beat the Kaizer Chiefs away 3-1. But now Kaizer Chiefs is a izitya. I'm sure this is bajongile ngamehla ukuthi hey niyasityala nini. But ke umdlalo besibukele mfowethu bingumdlalo we-Chiefs and Masry. Lindo, mandikubulisa mfowethu Ukraine.
Chapunya Shane.
Okay.
Ngibulisa technical team man, ngibulisa no just. Shane, when you were watching the first half, you felt like this is a game that deserves the draw. In terms of personnel, in terms of approach, it looked like both teams, from a tactical perspective, they're still looking at finding solutions, whether it's psychological solutions, system solutions, or tactical solutions. Mob check a second half. There's nothing much to say, actually, to be honest, about the first half, because I did not see shot on target. Maybe with Kaizer Chiefs, if it happened, maybe the Lakanda like Qatar on a corner. But Kaizer Chiefs didn't look dangerous. More especially on a counter. I anticipated Makali game that they will have a solid defensive block, which will deny Al Nasri, considering the fact that Badlale Kaya, they've got the conditions in their favor. They've got certain things working for them. Of course, playing at home is always an advantage in football. So I was expecting Kaizer Chiefs to play with a full back a little bit advanced. When I saw the starting 11, I saw Cross, I saw Utilon Solomons. I anticipated that they will have a three-man center back in position of the ball. Out of position, they will have a 5 but drop Umthetwa to anticipate. Number 1, Umthetwa mela did and deep diagonal balls that come from deep. Number 2, mela attract the run in the box. And then the full backs are 1v1. One of the center backs must pick a striker. So more check at that. The game was very simple for Kaizer Chiefs. The Kaizer Chiefs achieved their objectives in the first half, which is to have a solid defensive block, concede less opportunities, and then when the opportunity arises for you, whether on a counter, whether on a set piece, try and use those opportunities. In the first half, nothing happened. And then Mocheki Al Nasir, there's 3 midfielders that, in my opinion, were moving the ball a little bit slower in midfield. Yes, they kept the ball. They wanted to dominate the game, which is very significant and this is something that impressed me. I said when the game started, the 2 visible difference that you can see from both teams is the technical ability, nama basics. I think the difference between the 2 teams is that the Al Nasir players master my basics. I'm not saying all the Kaizer Chiefs players don't, but there's a few players, which as I mentioned, and most of the coaches that you listen to in this country, they will tell you about players that have champion development. And for me, there are very basic things that you need in football, and very simple. Know how to receive with your right, pass with your right. Know how to receive with your left, pass with your left. Aerial. Be good in terms of how you rise, how you head at the ball.
You didn't mention this during the game. Yeah.
Ball under pressure, you are fully body with both feet. Are you able to find the 30-meter pass, 10-meter pass? Are you able to do the most simplest thing, which is an entry level when you get into football? And for me, how when the game progressed, you could see the difference in midfield. Ucheka ngale yangu yenye shaw number 14 Medlalembi.
Ile nto yambe ikwenza ukuthi bayiphethe ibhola vele uphakama uyojika ngasemnyango uphinde ubuye.
Ubonile my pass ball ngathi mbuli yalizwipa my pass ball special player. Shane, every league in the world has those players because they don't play for big clubs. So you'll never have an opportunity to see them. In Brazil, they used to have a player called Ganso. If you ask Wonkama Brazilian who's the most special player they've ever seen in Elite Lab, no one will tell you about Ronaldinho and Abu Messi. They will tell you about Ganso, who played for this team there, I think if Fluminense, if I'm not mistaken. But Ganso. It took him longer, and also that's why I always say to Mamelodi Sundowns fans that we're going to have to celebrate Umshishi a little bit different so that he can get that godlike treatment. I start Shane, they're going. Yeah, Lazi Paul control the game. Even if check my stats, even if check my ratings, he's 7.9. Wow. He's the highest rated player on that match. In terms of covering distance, in terms of availing. Now, Lions are a mistake. The second half, a pass ball, I'll collect, and then he slips. He allow him to Shabalala. I think he wanted to kill that ball. But Mangata check in terms of influence. So you're talking about their captain, a player Hassan, a player who has the ability of passing about feet. Shane, there are 2 players, or rather 3 players that are respected in football, whether in development or masculine. Yes, football is tactics, football is about results. But masculuma player to player. And honest conversations, there's a couple of players we respect. The biggest player we respect is the one with the biggest football brains. Gunama shots that are circulating now, they ask who's the best player in terms of left, right, brain. All of the players in the national team, in terms of brain. So it tells you what players like. Me, personally, I am telling you, the biggest respect from that, it's those players. The players with the highest level of football intelligence. The second players that are respected in football are players that both feet. The most difficult thing in football, as a football player, most of us in our week, a player, there's no player who's much respected in football. Unkhumbuzo Santi Kazola lamchit. Ukanti Santi Kazola Chimini Shane Begati sometimes. Yeah, and this week his left looks very good, so he's playing with his left. Next week he says that my right looks good. That's the biggest quality you can ever have. Yeah. For me, no matter how, from a talent perspective, quality perspective, players that can play with both feet are at a different level. But Mangata Cheki game did not have a lot of substance, other than the fact that was it a penalty? The Polishao crosses and Lini. The goal they scored as well, Al Nasir was through a penalty as well, which was a penalty in my opinion. The goal they scored, the winning goal. Was clever, eh? You know what I mean? The second goal they scored, Miguel, unacceptable. Unacceptable in my opinion.
Sorry, Godkauda. Yes, each and every team, from the biggest team to the smallest team, there will always be, as our players, yes, you go okay, Ubani leader. For example, the Kaizer Chiefs, you have Miguel at the back. He was a former captain, and did he former captain because he's not wearing the armband. You have also Ucele in the middle. He's played in Europe. You have Umteto, who's coming from, he was a captain of Stellenbosch, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have Igor Dar, who's been playing in the PSL for almost all his life. So as a players, Gaussiago competition is in a Confed Cup. We rely on okay, Ubani no ban. If the chips are down, we can rely on those guys to go to boost Abafan. Did you notice in the players? Do you think SB this Baleo Zikazanayo influence? Or do you think when they stood up when players like were looking down? Do you think as a player when did it but starting a nice stage, but as a players Zamagut okay, city leaders, did you see that from that team?
I could see players playing for pride. I could see players playing for the jersey, for sure. No player chain goes onto a pitch and says, but for me, maybe I can speak from a performance perspective because my job is to analyze the performance. Yes. For me, Utabo Kleda used to watch him at under 20 years, the defensive midfielder of the team, people that watch that game, I remember VIP, we were still coaches and he wanted to show me some of the players that he's developed. I can tell you now that Utabo Kleda was one of the best players on the pitch. Utebza was not the Tebo Mkoena he is now. Utabo Kleda was on a different level. That's why when he came into the country, we said he's the right place, it's him at Kaizer Chiefs. But his performances haven't shown. And for me, that's why I will always emphasize, and I know maybe I'm controversial with this thing, and big clubs are yeah. Shane, you need to be you must be godlike. Even in football, in American sports, Shane, I'm about American, all-American and stuff like that, about James Spencer. For you to actually, before buying the draft, they know the special players are already at high school. That is my point. If maybe I don't get a chance to articulate myself a little bit. Kaizer Chiefs can never play with a midfielder on a Tolanga that got like treatment. Because when they get to Kaizer Chiefs, they need to understand and have the arrogance and the belief that they are the best players on the pitch. When I watch Utabo Kleda, when I watch Umteto, I don't feel and I don't get this feel inside of me that they believe they're the best in the country. For me, Kaizer Chiefs needs to play with the best midfielders in the country. Just like Pirates is playing with the best midfielders. Just like Mamelodi Sundowns is playing with the best midfielders. And for me, maybe that can help them in terms of how they interpret or how they plan for games going into Africa. But let me tell you something that's very important about them playing this competition. It's going to be gold dust for playing like Abom Fondo, players like Abo Villa, players like Abom Du, players like Abo Velepai. That's going to be gold dust for their development because every minute is going to improve their development and their competitiveness. Kaizer Chiefs is a team that needs to focus on domestic competitions because they really need to do well in that space. But the importance of playing this competition, I think there's a lot of positives than negative.
From what you saw, Al Masry, from what you picked up, ubabona ijeni yabo izabanjani kule CAF Confederations Cup ubabona begqiba phi.
It's going to be a difficult group, to be honest with you. With traveling twice to Egypt, going to Zambia, they have to win all their home games, for sure. I think the support might help them. But where they end up, I don't see them. The football is very unpredictable. But it's going to be very difficult for them to exit the group, Shane. That's all I can say. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to exit the group,
Lindo, thank you so much. Also, coach, my coach. Left and
Mina.
Yeah. Left.
Mina Shane, the biggest players that are respected in football, high level of football, intelligence. It's not the fluke that I'm the best analyst in the country. People have seen me coach. People have seen me play.
Oh, What? Hey, ingosana yakwankosi. Lindo Pep. But thank you so much for your analysis, my brother. I can't talk like that. It's when I am coach by coach. Lindo Nkosi. Thank you so much, my brother. Bese Egypt ke namhlanje we Kaizer Chiefs bidlala khona again Al Masry. Team noko engazange yafana yazenzela mbali kule competition ye CAF Confederations Cup. Also Kaizer Chiefs ayinambali ingako kwi CAF Confederations Cup because they've only played this competition 3 times. 2014 lapho baphuma khona ke kwi last 16, then ngo 2019 baphuma khona ke kwi second round wayo ke CAF Confederations Cup bethwe ke yizesco yapha ke Zambia. But this season, they are in the group stages, meaning that this is their best shot with CAF Confederations Cup so far. We don't know what bazawuphela phi ke, but what you know is that their next game is against 2 times winners Zanetumente iZamalek yapha ke Egypt. Bazabedlala ke next week Kaizer Chiefs bisamkela bona ke FNB, no, not FNB, Peter Mokaba Stadium. Yes, lo mdlalo uzawudlala pha ke Peter Mokaba Stadium. Well done also to Stellenbosch here ba winning labo namhlanje match day 1 we group bebetha ke AS Otoho. Bebetha score?
Mr. Q.
Was it 1-0 or 2-0? Yeah. 1-0, okay. Yeah. Congratulations also to them, Stellenbosch. Remember last season they finished with semi-finals, right?
Yeah, semi-finals.
Semi-finals, yeah. So they'll be hoping ukuthi bazakwenza ngcono this season. Maybe go to the final and also maybe eventually win it. We don't know, but we're gonna have to wait and see. Isende CAF Confederations Cup. Isende nayo ke CAF Champions League kusaqala kusaya ku AFCON. Izaphinda babuye bagqibezele next season. Ukuthi chayile. Thank you so much for watching iDiskiTV.
Hayi ndoda ehle pulusheni kuthi uyobamba i-podcast namhlanje. Shapunjani bafowethu, igama lami Lindo Pep, the best analyst in the country. Please don't forget to subscribe to iDiskiTV. Danko.
This is Bongane Benedict Villagazi, they call me so. Niyazi bafethu, ama coach for life, they are back in winning ways. Please, siyacela ukuthi subscribe iDiskiTV.